Jen and Becca and Sandy and Breezy and Tom and John and Ron. Thank you, all of our wonderful musicians. Yay! If you're ready, I am knowing with you that we are all ready to be free. So take a deep breath and we'll do our treatment for freedom together. Remember, Gina recorded it, listens to it, and she is months away from being completely debt-free, living her life where she wants to live, doing what she wants to do, creating jobs with 40% increases in pay. We can have our lives any way we want them to be. Take a deep breath. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free. And so it is. And we create this and everything else in part by using our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience, and I always keep my agreements. And so it is. So I just have to share one thing. That is, someone told me that John Waterhouse needs to be on GQ magazine. Yay, John!
So I made Newsweek and now you're pushing for GQ. Okay, whatever. Hey everybody! Hi. I'd like to report that Barbara and I had a wonderful time at the beach. Can't you tell by my glow? Yeah, good deal. So I have a question for you this morning. And I'm going to preface it by saying that this is a rhetorical question. Please do not call out your answer. Think about it, okay? The question is, if someone asks you if Center for Spiritual Living is a Christian community, what do you say? Think about that. What do you say? So, we have Christmas Eve service, right? We celebrate Christmas. Well, actually, technically, we celebrate Christmas Eve. If you read the Science of Mind text, you know that Ernest Holmes quotes the writings or the things that are attributed to Jesus over and over again. And there are some people that are very defiant and saying we are not Christian. And you know what? Here's the good news for you. Whether you say we are or we're not, you're right. It's all in how you want to see it. We are not, but here, don't get caught up in the idea that we are a highly observant Christian community. We are not. But we do believe strongly in the teachings of the master teacher Jesus. And that's a powerful thing because he was an avatar. He was an amazing mystic who brought such wisdom to this planet that it cannot be denied. And he's actually who I want to talk about today, Easter. What do you know? Happy Easter, by the way. I believe that the teachings of Jesus are some of the most important words ever spoken in language around this planet. I, however, don't resonate with the stories, what do we call them, the supernatural stories of his birth and his death. Those don't actually line up historically in many ways. For example, today's Easter, we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, yet we do it based on the position of the sun. Not with the storyline that says that it happened that he was executed on the Friday of Passover. Very seldom does that line up. However, we continue celebrating it this way. How do we celebrate it? With bunnies and Easter eggs and all kinds of other things that are so pagan. And the teachings of Jesus are so powerful that how do you deny that? And if you're a follower of those teachings, you call yourself Christian, and that works just fine. So there's no right or wrong way to do this, folks. But you're going to hear about Jesus today because it's Easter, and I want to talk about that. All right? So, where are we going to go? According to the writer of Matthew. No, before I do that, before I get into the writings, I want to talk about who Jesus was and my perception in the 21st century. I believe, according to Jungian psychology and the archetypes that Carl Jung identified, that Jesus was a masterful magician. And many of you in this room are magicians as well, because the archetype of the magician, if that is your primary archetype, then you value information. You value knowledge and wisdom. You hold those as sacred trusts. And you don't squander them if you're a healthy magician. And we're not talking, of course, about anyone that's a trickster or an illusionist. We're talking about actually understanding life. So if you hold life in that place, you hold the archetype of the magician, which is who Jesus was, because he did as well. And it started at a very young age. It started when he was just a little guy, maybe one, when he got a visit from some other magicians who were called the Magi. Have you ever heard of the Magi? The Magi is thought to be one of the sects within the, let me say it right. I got to look at it to make sure I don't mispronounce it. I know you know how to say it, Barbara. There it is. Zoroastrian. Did I do all right? Zoroastrian. They were priests in the Zoroastrian faith, which came from Persia, from what is now called Iraq. And considering that east, a bit east of where Jerusalem was, where Israel was, these people came and brought gifts. Now, we often think in terms of 3 of them riding on camels, but we don't know how many there were. We do know that they brought 3 gifts. They brought gold, which is a symbol of royalty and had great value in any culture. Gold has value. They brought frankincense, which is a fragrant incense that is burned to in priestly activities. So that was a very sacred gift for them to give. And they brought myrrh. You know what that is? It's an embalming oil. It's so that when a body is decaying, you're not caught up in the smell of that, and it holds the body intact longer. And it's a symbol of death. Interesting gifts, but all prized gifts. So these people came from somewhere east and brought these gifts according to what it says in the book of Matthew, and presented them not so much to the little guy, but to his parents. Now, why would they travel all that way? I mean, there was talk of a star. I don't know if it was a star. But why would people travel all that way to find a child and give presents to their parents? And it says in Scripture that it was all about him being king of the Jews, and all the drama about Herod being jealous and wanting to find him and kill him. And that's all great drama. But the story remains that there seemed to have been this group of people that came. And if they were the Magi, the priests of the East, what did they want? They must have wanted something. They wanted the boy. It's interesting in the stories you go on, there are stories about Jesus up to about the age of 13. And then he disappears. He's nowhere to be found in Scripture until he's 30. Well, what was he doing for those 17 years? He was with the Magi. At least that's my take. That's an easy place for me to go, is that he was with the Magi. And what was he learning? He was learning the ways of the Magi. And then when he was 30, a fully developed adult, having gone through this incredible tutelage by these magicians, these Magi priests, he came back and shared what he had learned with the people of Israel, which blew their minds. The main idea of the faith of these that came to him is that there is one uncreated presence through which all good flows. There is one uncreated presence through which all good flows. Sound anything like what we teach? So with that, this man, Jesus, came back to Israel, came back to his home in Nazareth, the home of his mother, and began to teach and draw large crowds. And he said some really interesting things. And I'm trying to identify who this guy was and why he was such a great teacher. I want to share some of these ideas that he taught. He said, according to chapter 10 in the book of John, he said, "I and my Father are one." Now, that had to really confuse those people in Nazareth. Okay, so he had to explain further. He says in the 14th chapter, "Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me." Still, not the thing that someone who is connected strongly to their senses is going to be able to understand. That's a very abstract concept. But you know what he's saying. You've heard it here for years if you come to this place. The idea that that divine presence and you are the same thing. The creator of the universe and you are the same one. You are the divine. You are the creator of your life in every aspect, without exception. You put those ideas together, and it's exactly what Jesus was experiencing. It's what he learned from the Magi. That there is one power and one presence in the universe, and it dwells as me. At the point of me, I have that authority. And you know all the amazing things he did. Wouldn't he be popular still today, being able to turn water into wine? I'd be invited to every party in town. Bringing people back from the dead. Telling a tree that it is cursed and have it wither into nothingness. Telling people that you can tell a mountain to move and it will move if you have the faith of a grain of mustard. Wow. Unbelievable ideas created at a time when people were trying to survive. But it was very entertaining, and it drew great crowds, and wonderful things happened. And it continued on, and of course became a threat to the status quo, which at that time isn't like our status quo. It's not like you're going to lose an election over it. It means that they're going to take you out and kill you, which is precisely what they did. The authorities did. They executed this man. This man who was a great teacher and brought brilliant ideas to his people, yet was rejected by them. That sort of sounds like life, you know? A little more brutal than we would have happen now, but certainly this is how it seems to happen. What do we learn from this? We learn from the teachings of this man who paid attention to his teachers, whoever they were, and brought forth a message to the world that is transformative. He brought the message of the Magi. He brought a message that was magical, that changed everything, that did not match the physical appearance of life. He brought something that transcended that and called people into a greater state of awareness of who they were. And he went on and on and on with that throughout all of his life. In the 14th chapter, it is said that Jesus said, "Whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these." What does that mean? Well, let's break it down for you. Whoever, that's us, believes in me, believes that what I do is real, believes in the divine omnipresence of all life, will also do the works that I do. empowering those around us, lifting people up, knowing who we are as divine presence. And greater works than these. Who knows what we can actually do? Well, we've demonstrated it. The big thing that Jesus was known for was healing people. Yet how many times have we had someone in this community in a hospital rushed with an ambulance and walk out whole? Most all the time when it happens. Healings abound in this community. That's the way life works. And we are doing those things on a regular basis. We are called to be the Magi. That is what Jesus' message to the people was. Take these teachings and live your life by it. Step up. Raise yourself up beyond the mundane details of day-to-day life and see who you are. That's what this master teacher was bringing us. An incredible opportunity to transcend what life looks like to the average viewer into something mystical and wonderful and beautiful. What greater thing could a teacher bring to the world? So with that knowing, at one point in his ministry, someone said, "So how should we pray?" And he spoke back and explained. And that has become a constant in all of Christendom, to do what is called the Lord's Prayer. But if you do it the way it was translated from the Aramaic and through the Greek into English, it doesn't really work for me. So I took a little time thinking of these ideas in this brief prayer in metaphysical terms, and I want to share that with you. So if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. But I want to share kind of new way of looking at what Jesus came to teach and how he taught us to pray. So I'm going to read the original words in English that we all know, and then what that could mean. Our Father, who art in heaven, presence of divine love and light that lives within us and within all life. Hallowed be thy name. We invoke the powerful creative nature of all that is sacred and holy. Thy kingdom come. We embrace the healing essence that is the kingdom of heaven within us. Thy will be done. We accept our greatest good as we align with our divine nature, on earth as it is in heaven, knowing that the affairs of our lives reflect our evolving consciousness. Give us this day our daily bread. Each day we receive nurturing blessings from within and throughout all of the activities of our lives. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We accept the divine nature of all things and all people, including ourselves, as we move away from judgment and toward greater awareness of our good. But deliver us and lead us not into temptation. We shall be vigilant in expressing and experiencing the oneness of all life. But deliver us from evil as we continue learning to live beyond fault-finding and suffering. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. For we accept the consciousness of divine perfection with all its power and all its glory right here, right now, and forevermore. Amen. And so it is. So I want to read that again, and I'm not going to give you the original. Listen to these words and let them really soak in. Presence of divine love and light that lives within us and within all life. We invoke the powerful creative nature of all that is sacred and holy. We embrace the healing essence that is the kingdom of heaven within us. We accept our greatest good as we align with our divine nature, knowing that the affairs of our lives reflect our evolving consciousness. Each day, we receive nurturing blessings from within and throughout all the activities of our lives. We accept the divine nature of all things and all people, including ourselves, as we move away from judgment and toward greater awareness of our good. We shall be vigilant in expressing and experiencing the oneness of all life, as we continue learning to live beyond fault-finding and suffering. For we accept the consciousness of divine perfection with all of its power and all of its glory right here, right now, and forevermore. And so it is. teachings of the Master One, Jesus. We may not accept that somehow he saves us from something, but he teaches us great lessons. And I invite you to remember that today, the day that we remember his experience on planet Earth, a very short 33 years that changed everything. Happy Easter.